Hey guys, what's up and welcome back. And today I'm very excited to announce the launch of an ongoing podcast series. It's called The Developing Tank or The Dev Tank. You know, we're talking all things photography, analog photography, books, printing, things like that. Now, it's not just me. It's actually an ongoing podcast with two of my good friends, Hashem from Pushing Film and Alex Munoz from Alex on Streets. Two fantastic guys. You know, we're all a little bit older, a little bit seasoned, you could say, in the photography and YouTube world. And we have some really good conversations about photography, analog photography especially. We're all very passionate about that. Today's podcast, we mainly focus on personal projects, photo books, contemporary photography. Great conversation, and I hope you guys sign up to continue to listen to these on Spotify podcasts, Apple podcasts, and you'll be able to watch them here on the YouTube platform as we work out the kinks and it evolves a bit more down the track, but an ongoing series. I hope you guys enjoy, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, hello everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the first episode of an ongoing podcast series, which is yet to have an official title, but joining me is my old friend Hashem, who, you know, if you've seen my channel, you guys know who Hashem is. He's been on before. And then we have Alex. Alex, I always forget how to pronounce your name, your last name correctly. Munoz? How do I say
I
it
always
properly?
like people's first attempts at these. No, it's Munoz.
Munoz.
With it's Spanish Ñ. You know how they got the squiggly line over the N.
Munoz. Okay, that's right. I just wasn't sure how to pronounce it correctly. But
Yeah,
otherwise,
Munoz. But
Alex on Streets.
in America, everybody always called me Munoz.
Yeah,
so
and as Alex
Munoz
on Streets on your YouTube channel as well, which people can find.
And, sure, yeah, and Alex on Streets, Alex Munoz, yeah.
And on Instagram as well, which I'll have a link for everyone's Instagram and Hashem's YouTube as well, because if you've watched my stuff, you've watched Hashem's stuff, and hopefully you've seen Alex's YouTube videos. I remember I watched your in-depth the videos you did on the M10, and like you broke down the M10 instead step by step. I remember watching that multiple times before I got.
Oh, cool! Thanks.
M10.
That took me a long time.
And you guys have probably seen Alex in a lot of Samuel Street Life stuff. Whenever he's been in Japan, you've always been seen you always done a lot of stuff with Sam, and he seems like a fun guy. He seems like a fun guy as well.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. Yeah, we're always joking around. You know, we kind of share the same humor.
Oh no, that
wavelength.
That Leica video you guys did, that's hilarious. I still, anytime a short might pop up on Facebook or Instagram, I always crack myself up. That was a great video, taking the mickey out of everything. But this is gonna be an ongoing.
We're
podcast.
Working on a sequel, by the way.
Oh, that sounds good. That'll be funny as well. A community
or Fujifilm next time.
That'll be even better actually. Yeah. That'll be even better because that's almost taken over now. But we're going to do a regular podcast with the three of us. Potentially, you know, we'll be having extra guests down the track. But a conversation, you know, we are a little bit more seasoned than the general YouTube crowd, I would say, and you know, a bit more of a mature, in-depth topics on photography, around photography, and things like that. Just getting the conversation going and having fun with it at the same time. Everyone knows me. I have about zero filter and speak my mind exactly how I feel. And then Hashem's always there to keep me in check and be like, you need to calm down. I don't know.
I was actually about to say, like,
the amount of times you've told me,
the biggest flex.
Yeah,
calling us seasoned and mature and all that. That's like a bigger flex than your current body fat level, man.
My body fat level is it's just
Jesus
insane.
Christ.
I'm literally starving myself to death because I'm doing a natural bodybuilding competition on the 5th of October. First one ever. Always wanted to do it, and.
Nice.
Yeah, it sounds nice, but no, like 2.5 hours.
Starving.
I'm starving all the time. Like I'm just hungry.
Coffee helps.
It does. Yeah, it does. But this even takes my mind off wanting to eat, which is good. Anyway, to get started, anyone, so thanks for tuning in, guys. It will be a regular thing, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and also subscribe to the podcast channel when I link it up. There'll be a link for that in here as well, and there'll also be on there will be a previous episode with me and Hashem you can listen to if you so choose. Right, so the topic of today, we've got a few things we want to work through. Hashem, well, Alex, did you want to kick us off with whatever you had on your mind? Because there was a few things we started speaking about before. If you wanted to, start talking about that.
Yeah, sure. So actually, there's a few things I want to talk about, and one of them is just right off the bat. As you may know, as some other people know, I've been really invested in my own projects these days, collaborative projects with other people. Like you mentioned, Samuel Lintaro. We did a book together, a road trip photo book together, and then just previously I did another zine with my friend Yusuke
Yeah, we saw that.
Nagata.
That was great. The smokers. Yeah, that was cool. That was a cool
Right.
concept. I thought it was a really cool concept, like a unique concept. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Bar from the general, you know what I mean? Like it's street photography stuff, but like there was that
Right.
you guys had that topic in mind to kind of focus on it.
Right.
Just kind of differ it from just from your standard little zine people do.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool
I
concept.
mean, we took about a year and a half to kind of flesh out the idea and then shoot it, put it together, sell it, etc. And it's nice. This is
year.
a good size.
That's a solid investment of time, because I mean I know a lot of people do a lot of
Yeah.
like they make a zine out of like a one weekend trip or a little trip or something, but a year's worth, that's
Right.
that's solid. Yeah.
Yeah, and we actually had, so many photos in the end to pick and eliminate. So we could even have a part two, on the same boat, part two even. So we might do that in the future. And actually, when we were making this, because we did have so many photos, we were thinking, oh man, this photo's great, this photo's great. But the question was really like, are we making a zine or are we making a book in the end? Because we could have easily made a book, and because we had so many photos, but we wanted to get it done right away because I was moving out of Tokyo to Fukuoka, back to Fukuoka, where I am now, and so we were thinking, you know what, let's concentrate on making it a really simple zine that's about I think in the end about 36 38 pages, and there was that. But I was wondering with you guys too as well, because I have so many projects in mind. I have something like 10 more projects that I have in my backlog and that I'm like working on to release in the future. But when does a zine, in your guys' opinion, when does a zine turn into a book? How do we make that distinction sometimes? Because see, here's a bigger zine, another zine from another friend I have, Soga Homoru, and this is kind of a bigger size zine. It's about less than A4, and he even did a lot of writing and stuff in here too as well. So I'm wondering, what do you guys think? Because as I continue with my projects, how do I gauge what to call these works? Are they zines or are they books? And like, how do you define that personally? Hashem, because you haven't talked that much.
Yeah. It's actually such a relevant question for me because I'm kind of in the same boat. No, like pun intended there with you. Which, by the way, was a great zine. I have a copy and it's on the shelf behind me there. But as
Thanks so
some of you
much.
might know, I've been working on a series and trying to figure out also whether it would be good as a zine or a book. Actually, a couple. One of which is leaning towards being a book. One of which is more probably going to be a zine. And for me, it's the biggest differentiating factor isn't the obvious one of how many photos you have, because someone might just think, hey, if you have a certain amount, 50 plus photos, then it's a book. I don't really think it's that, because you can have, like you just showed, a really heavy magazine style print. So the thing for me is investment of effort, financial, investment as well, and planning, editing, sequencing, all of those things, once that investment level goes up, I think that's when it crosses that threshold of not necessarily seriousness, but something that justifies it being a book, which for me generally would be a hardcover or something that's of a higher caliber physical quality rather than being casual in nature. And it's
So
tricky. Yeah.
the seriousness, really.
Yeah, in a
is
way, the serious of your own efforts, because like
right.
it could be casual, it could be like this is serious. I'm going to put more time and money and effort into printing this object, And even if it's a small book, it could just be that like it's a tiny book, but it's had a lot of planning and effort put into the cost of printing and sequencing and all that. Because there has to be, I guess, some separation, even though I know there are these like gray zone prints that might be kind of halfway between a book and a zine, which is also great because it might actually lie, somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, I'm literally in the exact same boat, and I've just moved. I would say now it's a more serious project. It was I might even have it here actually. I do actually.
Yeah, there's no hard and fast rules, I don't think, because traditionally it wasn't a zine something that someone would just print themselves at home and staple it together, and it's just a way of saying, it's like a magazine.
I did. This is the work that I'm working on now. Like the actual, it's going to be a book. So this is like a road trip style thing between there's Perth and Albany here, so it's like a 4-hour drive, and I shot all this stuff, 35mm color, years ago, and then I made this little zine. I was like, oh yeah, it's little cool, like little road trip stuff, like nothing major. It was like a lot of old buildings, and the sequencing's terrible, and the print quality is terrible, and the photos are pretty average. But I made this, and I was like, I'd like to revisit it again. And then I did the trip several other times, and the next time I did it all on medium format with an RZ67, and shot some beautiful photos that I'm super, super happy and proud of. And a lot of the stuff I shot as well now is gone. It's been demolished or it's been torn down, and it's not there anymore, which is makes it even better. And then I printed another book, which is actually in my car at the moment, because I use that as a business card for the most recent trip that I just did. And the project started as this like, A to B road trip and everything along the way. But now it's with that second body of work that I did as part of it, like it evolved again. And now it's evolved into, I think I'm calling it a home in the Blackwood. So there's the Blackwood catchment. It's a river, the Blackwood River, but the catchment area runs from about halfway between Perth and Albany, where is a town called Arthur River. It starts there, and then it runs all the way down to Augusta and empties out into the ocean. And me and my wife and the boys recently did a trip because she's working for DFES, so the Department of Fire and Emergency Services. She's a mental health and wellbeing team. So she just had a yearly trip where we went through all the regional country towns. She went to visit all the fire stations and the volunteer firefighter stations to do mental health resilience training. So it's like an excuse to go through those areas again. And we followed towns through the Blackwood catchment, and I stopped, and I've got some of the best, in my mind, I've made some of the best contemporary photography work I've ever done. And I'm so proud of some of the images. And it's funny, a couple of them that I've shared on Instagram as well have had like absolutely crap response to them. Like, which is one thing. I suppose the older you get like us, I don't care about likes. It's got nothing to do with clout or anymore. That's just I'm sharing the art that I'm making. So now it's evolved into another book. So it's gone from a crappy little zine to a small book in my car, and now it's evolved again into a full-blown project, which I hope to get back out again soon, and then start from a couple of other towns and work my way down. And a mixture of heavily influenced by Alex Soth's work, and that sort of, and Stephen Shaw, massively influenced. I absolutely love Alex Soth. I love all his work. So
yeah, it's fantastic.
A lot of portraits, and like I met this one guy, and I got a portrait of him standing out, and the photo, it's ridiculous. Like the way it panned out in my head, I'm going, oh my god! It's like, have you seen that photo from Sleeping by the Mississippi, and the guy holding the plane outside his house? that he did in that
Yes,
book.
yes.
It's literally like that. He's holding a model plane outside his antique store in the middle of Bridgetown, and I'm just kind of sitting there and I'm going,
way.
this is just the biggest copy ever, but like this is just how it's unfolding. He's like, why don't you take a photo with my airplane?
You gotta take it.
And I'm going, an airplane?
Right.
I'm going, oh God, this is copying it. But just, we ended up chatting for half an hour before I took his portrait. Ex-army vet in his mid-40s, ex-army vet who came back from Afghanistan, a little messed up. And because we were talking about mental health, and she's like, well, how come you got down here? And I explained what my wife's doing, and then he opened up about himself. And then half an hour later, I got a photo, but I left with meeting this amazing guy, served his country. He was actually, you guys ever catch the movie The Green Zone? Not The Green Zone, sorry. The one, now I've forgotten the name, for the Hurt Locker where they defuse IEDs. He was an engineer. He was part of an engineering team who defused IEDs for the Australian Army in Iraq. Gnarly stories. But having that dialogue, meeting him, and then getting this portrait afterwards, I'm like, oh my God, this is epic. And it spurred me on to make this even more of a serious project, because it's like, okay, I've got this amazing body of work that I've just done recently over the span of a week, and I'm gutted because I ran out of film. I ran out of color film.
And
otherwise I could have kept going.
Would you write everything that you learned from these people? Would you then put that into writing in such a book?
Because I feel like with a portrait like that, when you, I don't know if when looking at a book or a zine like that, I like the sense of imagination I get. Like I do like the way Alex. That's why I love Alex Soth's books so much, is because you go through the book and you follow it, and it's sequenced amazingly, and you see the portraits and the nude portraits and the people he meets, and then you just kind of imagine like, wow, like how did he find these people? Like where do these people come from? Their stories. But then at the rear of the book, sometimes he has that kind of glossary index, and it will go a bit in depth. And I do like the idea of that, but I don't know if putting too much writing on it changes it and takes something away from the viewer's experience. Or maybe it adds to the viewer's experience.
That's what I'm always worried about.
Yeah, I do worry about that as well. I go, do you?
No.
Yeah, but back to long roundabout way. The serious, when does a project become a book, and how serious does it get? Yeah, I feel like just that for me, like the interactions and the photos I've made, have spurred me to want to turn it into a even more serious work. So we're talking years. We're talking this is going to take me another couple years worth of trips, meeting people, finding the right people, taking their portraits. But again, I love the idea of, I can't remember who said it. It was, maybe it was Daniel Milner. I know, Hashem, you've seen Daniel Milner's YouTube channel, and he's gone off YouTube now because he was just kind of like, YouTube's a bit, I don't think he liked YouTube, but having the zine or the test book or the something like that, something physical to show people, to say, this is what I'm doing. I'm not full of crap. This is the work I've done. Like, would you like to be a part of it or something, just to kind of make it seem a bit more legitimate. And I suppose the more time you invest, the more serious it becomes.
For sure.
Definitely.
Almost like the quality
I'm on board,
elevates.
yeah. Like there's one photo
naturally
I've got,
that happens.
Yeah, like one photo I've got, I randomly found it. Me and the boys, Em was doing her day of work. Me and the boys were out exploring, and I literally found in someone's dam, surrounded by trees, and grass and moss growing everywhere, a jet ski, an old stand-up jet ski sitting in the middle of the dam, covered in moss and grass that had been growing on it, just floating there. And I'm just like, things like that. You just kind of find that. I'm like, I've never seen that in my life before. But but also, trying to, like, the narrative is still evolving with this project. Like, the underlying theme I have, is the Blackwood catchment region, and I feel terrible because I'm like, damn, I'm like literally almost copying Sleeping by the Mississippi, because that was what he started the project as, was the Mississippi River. But it's funny, like, I don't like the idea of, of copying other people's work, but that's just like, it's kind of like my spin on it. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I love seeing books about the American West and, the American road trip and things like that. And it's been done so many times by so many people, that I think this kind of spin on it is just an Australian spin on it. potentially. You know, that's the kind of way
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. It's like my own Australian spin on big projects like that.
Well, that's enough to separate it from
Yeah,
being a copy, as far
yeah.
as I'm concerned. Like that just kind of kickstarted your inspiration, and then it'll become its own thing as you spend those extra couple of years on it, I'm sure.
Oh,
Especially for people that live in WA, it would be really cool.
I
like,
think it'd be
thing for
very
posterity.
interesting. Very interesting. But I just feel like the book and that zine, it's the ultimate, antithesis. Like, it's why we do it. You know what I mean? It's why we print. It's why we take photos. I don't like that everything lives online. That's why I love things like the Framelines YouTube guys that have done Framelines magazine. Like, they're like, we're sick of looking, their whole concept. We're sick of looking everything online and on iPhone screens. Like, I'm just sick of looking at everything on a screen. And we'll make the magazine. And I've got most of the copies of those, and I've discovered more people's work through those, which is fantastic. Which is the thing I love the most, is finding all these new people that are making like really good, serious work, not just your run of the mill crap that gets all the likes on Instagram and stuff these days.
So then I can definitely classify this right here as a book from my friend Yusuke Nagata, who helped me make who was in the project with this. So he made this book right here with by himself. But I was with him when he took some of these photos. But this is still, it's evolved past the zine category, even though this was 100% made at home by him. And you would think initially, okay, something made at home, right? It's got to be more in the zine category. But this is 100% color darkroom printed book.
Oh wow, that's
every
very serious
photo
effort.
Yes, and he did all the binding. This is 100%
Well, I just when you
handmade.
held it up, then I thought that didn't look hand. I thought that was professionally done just from the binding alone.
Yeah, just he made this completely handmade. This paper and everything, so
Wow.
intentional. This is all 100% color darkroom prints
Wow. Even on
in a
video, that looks amazing.
That looks
in a book.
yeah.
Yeah,
That is.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope everyone can understand like the gravitas of doing that. That is to do
Yeah.
that is amazing,
But
especially
he can't do that to scale, though, can he?
not to scale.
it's
I mean,
it's very, very difficult to
yeah. I mean, color
to
darkroom
put all of
printing,
this together.
especially because
Yeah,
you're not getting
find one that's really
it's
good.
probably not making each print that comes out might have to be made 2, 3, 4 times before he gets the colors right.
Right, exactly.
Oh wow.
And these are nice darkroom prints as well. I
Yeah,
guess
well,
he
I
could
mean,
write down his
this is,
exposure settings
you can
and
see the
repeat it.
gloss and
Mhm.
everything
The luster paper.
here. This paper that he used. And so when you're flipping through it, I mean, I was with him when he did this one.
Seen that shot.
Yeah. And he had a girlfriend. This is a kid that's like 17, and he had a girlfriend that was like 13, 14. And yeah. And but so he had this mega project, to make this by hand. I spent, uh countless dollars. How many dollars did I spend? $300, $400 actually, 400 to buy this from him because I wanted to support him. He was
Yeah.
my friend. And then I think the valueness, the valueness, the value in is that a word? Valueness? That's not a real word.
I guess
The-
value.
Well, I mean, you
The
can't. I don't
the
know if
value.
you could put a value on something like that. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
handmade.
like I wanted to support him, obviously, but I think this is like so unique and one of a kind. He only made, I think, 3 or 4 of these
How
naturally.
many hours did it take to make each one? Or he didn't even clock
Uh,
it. Couldn't even. I can't even. I'm
no,
trying to comprehend.
he's got kids too.
Comprehend. Sorry, how
He's
many hours?
married
yeah.
with kids too. I think it probably took him a month to make this one book for me.
Whoa.
Yeah. So this is where it steps into the category of a book.
Yeah,
I guess,
definitely.
I think it
Definitely.
steps beyond that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's
Yeah, I think beyond that.
I almost would classify that as a piece of art, not a book, not a zine. Just
Right.
I mean, I would class
Yeah.
that something in that category as art with the effort, the time, darkroom printing. That's yeah. So again, yeah, $300-400 is probably that's like buying you're buying a big frame print or a piece of art or something. So I could just I can see you justifying the cost for something of that magnitude, to be honest.
Right. So yeah, there's that. I'm gonna do not color, but I will do black and white, and I will do something similar like that too as well.
That's yeah.
100% color, black and white, darkroom printed book as well.
That's a big
So
undertaking.
that
really
will take
cool.
me quite a while.
I mean, Hashem,
Yeah.
you've got, I would say, we got way more experience than me because you've made a lot of zines over the years. I feel like. How many you made?
Me?
10 plus.
I've only
Yeah.
made one.
There was
No, I've only had the color one, the sun-dried strip.
sun-dried strip, but you've made heaps for yourself, haven't you? Of your Japan trips and stuff like that, haven't you? In that sense,
No.
or like self-printing.
No.
Why am I
You might be thinking of like, I think Sarah got me like one single copy of some of my Japan photos as a birthday thing. But yeah, no, I've been sitting on projects for a while.
Yeah.
This is why I was like keen to talk about this because I've been sitting on a project that I've been shooting over like 6 years now in like eight different countries,
Well,
and I still haven't
the
printed
one I was just
even a
talking
draft
about,
copy.
mine. That starts. This 2017 is when I
Yeah.
started doing that. So that's why I kind of go. It's been a long time and it's continuously evolved over in 6 years. It's still going,
Which
and
is a
who
good thing.
knows? Which
Yeah,
I think
and
is a great thing.
By the way, I love what I've seen from what you said you posted on
yes,
Instagram.
yeah, thanks,
like
thanks, man.
it really, I can tell the amount of effort and the excitement that you probably have.
I haven't even put in the
for
bangers
shooting
yet, like the really good ones. I haven't
Yeah,
even, haven't
yeah.
got
Save
in
them,
there,
save them.
But and that's another topic on to quickly kind of get in that is when does it? How much do you share online? You know what I mean? How much do you keep for yourself, and how much do you share online with such a if you've got a big undertaking or a serious project? If it is just a zine, I can just whack all the photos up and share one after the other. But something that serious, how much do you hold back from the public in today's day of, instant putting it up? Yeah. But tell us more about yours.
It's always been
What's
a
this
challenge for
project?
me.
I interrupted you that you've been working on for so long. Street?
Oh, well,
You are a street
yeah,
king.
mine is street. Yeah, it's full black and white street photography shot on film. Well, I don't know if I'll use any digital images, but
Yeah.
even if I do, it'll be 95% shot on Ilford black and white film or Kentmere, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly shot during my travels to other countries. They tend to be kind of
That India stuff.
developing countries.
The India and
well, yeah,
Bangladesh, that most recent trip, that photo you've got of the kid getting off the boat, the framing. I remember I messaged you and said, that's just amazing. I saw it. There's the framing, the boat's on the left and the kid was jumping off. However you framed, that was just magic. I messaged you instantly, I think. I sent you a text, didn't I? I think I might have even sent you a
Maybe, yeah,
text.
yeah.
I didn't even comment
You
on
might have.
Instagram. I was like, no, this is too good. I'm going to send you a text and be like, holy shit, that was epic. That was a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
photo. But yeah, you've...
Thanks, man.
That's because Sarah's from... Where's Sarah from?
Bangladesh,
Sri
yeah.
Lanka?
Well, I haven't been
No.
to India. Bangladesh, yeah. That's where that photo was taken.
Bangladesh,
So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I have stuff from Nepal, for example. There might be a couple of shots from Nepal and then like, Bangladesh, Vietnam, the Middle East, Turkey, Lebanon, whatever. Like there's
Yeah.
stuff from, even Greece maybe might make some of the cut there. But it's just little collected street photography images of a candid nature of like, especially things that lend themselves to an old world developing country kind of feeling, like things we've lost over time, ways of living, and it just like yours kind of just started to develop and become cohesive over time to where I wanted to just collect them, put them aside, and I've just been kind of procrastinating and delaying on the next steps now because I think I have enough work to
do it, yeah.
to go ahead. But it's just a matter of like, how do I go about, should I do it a book? How much money can I spend? How many copies? All these questions.
Yeah,
and
do you put out
the hard stuff?
Do we do pre-orders beforehand? Do you go and see? I mean, you're like in Melbourne.
Yep.
There's a few serious publishers, isn't there, that you can go? Actually, like you did. There's a few really good places you can go to get, book printing done. There's only a couple here. I mean, I think for me, I would actually have to reach out to one of those places over east. But
or overseas even. But like, I'm
yeah.
lucky now that I've actually made a connection where I'm hoping to have some kind of support or publication for it, which means I do want to make it a book, even if it's not like a really heavy book. You know, if you look at some of our favorite photo books, won't necessarily have more than, you know, not even 100 images. They might even use a lot of blank space to help sequence and let the work live nicely on those pages.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, it's definitely something that it's important not to rush it. And I used to
Big
think
time.
like, oh, you know, I wanted to do it by 2023 and I haven't. Big deal.
I've said
If
that
it's
for
worth
years.
it,
I've said that for years
it.
with this project of mine. But to be honest, it's the biggest thing that's got in the way for me was work and family. And having kids, you just, you know, and family, it's just, I can't just go, all right, by M, I'm going off for a couple of days. So I'm, you know, like go and hire a camper van or sleep in the back of me. I'm just going to drive around and go explore, sleep in motels. It's just really like everything's got to be planned a lot more in advance, you know what I mean?
Fun.
Like I knew this trip was coming up for months, so I was like getting really excited. I was like, so you know, get film down packed, camera down packed, and then I ran out of color film. I was gutted. Like I was like, I could.
Are you taking any video footage, by the way? Because it could be cool to document that.
It would
like
have.
Alex Soth had that documentary about sleeping on the Mississippi, and I don't know if it was like the master's course or it was amazing to watch, like his process.
There's
and
one
that
on
B-roll.
There's one on YouTube that's called Somewhere to Disappear, and it's about he did the book Broken Manual, which if you try and find a copy of it, it's like over $1,000 for the book. I don't know why. It's just he only printed a couple, and there's no copies out there. Insane. I can't even find a copy of it. And there's a little documentary that was filmed, and it's like lo-fi, like somewhat, you know, like it looks like it was on a VHS or something. Like it must have been done in, I think it was mid-2000s. It was done. And I thought about filming, and M did say to me, "Are you going to film? You know, why aren't you filming any of this for your YouTube channel?" And I was, to be honest, I was like, you know what? I just want to enjoy this for myself, making this work for myself.
Yeah.
I don't have any interest in this trip potentially. You know, it's maybe in the future, but this trip, I want to experience it all. I don't want to have to worry about setting up the tripod and having the YouTube going and making content.
Right.
I just want to experience, like meeting that guy there, the ex-army vet, Matt. There's no way if I'd whipped out a camera and tried to record, it just wouldn't, you know. I mean, if I
it's
had,
distracting.
Yeah,
It's
if I had
hard
a third
to balance.
person there, like, you know, the Alex Soth stuff, if there's a third person there who's not having, you know, you can focus on the creative aspect of it and someone else is filming, different story maybe. But I felt like if I'm going to try and do all this, it's going to take away from the experience. Like there's one photo that I haven't put online yet, and I printed it, and it's on the fridge as well, because me and the boys call it the magic book bus. The boys were with me. We were exploring, and they came inside the bus with me. It's like an old bus, like you can imagine, and it's filled head to toe with books. Old books, magazines stacked up everywhere, just random, covered in cobwebs, covered in dust on this guy's property. And there's cars, there's crap everywhere. It's like literally a film photographer's heaven. There's broke down junkyard stuff everywhere. But inside all these buses, there's about 3 buses. They're all filled up with books and magazines to the brim.
Wow.
And you know, and then I asked, and ended up telling this guy Matt about it, and he actually gave me a bit of backstory about the guy's property it was, who I stumbled onto anyway. But that was just something to experience with the boys. And there's a print on the fridge, and even little Teddy, who's only 3 years old, "Dad's a magic book bus, Daddy." And I'm like, yeah, it is a magic book bus. You know, that was just an experience me and the boys had. And I'm glad I wasn't trying to film YouTube at the same time and just take all that in for myself, which kind of made this set of images I made over the course of a week, I think, a lot more near and dear to me and the project, because it was just sort of like me and the 2 kids together. And it's something that they can look back on in the future and be like, you know, if they pick up this book, however many years it takes me till I make it, and they'd be like, oh yeah, we were with Dad. You know, oh yeah, I remember that when I was a kid. Like, you know, there'd be a nice experience as well. You know, you and Sarah yet to have kids, Hash.
Yeah.
One day.
Well, you know, I completely agree with that sentiment of like it is
keeping it
really
for yourself,
annoying. But what I would advise you, because you'll probably regret it later if you don't, is at the very least, you know, get yourself like a little action camera or your phone or anything. Just chuck it on the dashboard.
Yeah.
Just get something.
Oh no, I've got
so that when it's 4 years later,
the latest iPhone,
just a bit of footage,
being able to record. This thing now, like if I use the if I plug in an external hard drive, which I've got the SSDs, and use the Blackmagic Cinema app, I can get Apple ProRes raw footage recorded to this. And then I've got the road. It's amazing. Like I've just as a video making tool, it's I think more people. This is underrated now. They've gotten so good, just for video, not for still. I mean, I don't rate it for stills personally, because I'm more of a 50mm kind of guy, and I suppose it's the depth of. I think it's the depth of field that just throws me anytime I take a photo on an iPhone, and I'm like, anyway. But with AI, but regardless of all that, yeah, no, I did. I was thinking, maybe I should film some stuff just on the iPhone, but I was like, nah. But I'm thinking more the next trip as well. I probably will, because again, I've got the SL2 now, because I can actually do some series video with that, some nice stuff. But
Nice.
Back to your project, is the narrative more focused around candid portraiture? Is it people? Is it a bit of just like street in general, or you've gone for, like you said, that third world country? What were you saying? Like kind of that thing, the things.
Yeah,
that we've
third
lost.
world developing country. Yeah,
Yeah.
like old ways of living and
Yeah.
being, and like, yeah, it's not too much. Nothing really in terms of posed portraiture.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
might be, if anything, like candid semi-portrait type stuff. Yeah, 35mm black and white. I probably shared some of it, but yeah, I'm ready to progress to the next steps. I'm just, again, researching the printing publication
Yeah.
stage now, and I'm yet to sequence or edit the work down.
Are you?
But that brings me back to that point where about sharing online. That's something I think about as well. Like, how much do you share online?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I've shifted my thought about that over time.
whereas as in keep more for yourself, hold back more now, as opposed to when we were young,
Well,
you just want to like
I used to think
dish it
that,
out?
yeah. Well, I used to lean heavily, not heavily, but more towards don't share it, like keep it, save everything. But I've shifted a little bit more now towards like, it doesn't really matter, because whether you share it on
doesn't.
Instagram, it's not really living to its full potential anyway.
I was just about
And
to
if
say
anything,
that
it's
sharing it on
helping
Instagram
you.
is not. It's not. It's not a book. It's not a print. It's just a tiny little square of pixels. It's not anything tangible. I think you share it as much as you want online. Like I'll look at, I can look at contemporary photography all day long online, but when I go to the bookshelf, like there's a couple in here like that. Just I could look. Where is it? One of my biggest sources of inspiration, Laura Wilson. So Owen Wilson and
Mum.
and their mum, the boy's mum, the actor's mum. She is like all time. She was Richard Avedon's assistant. And just like anytime I want like inspiration, like there's one specific photo that every time I've seen it online, and then when I open it up, I just this one. I open it up. So that's one of the Texas Rangers. Like, and I just go like, man, so 35mm black and white, or it was 6x6 black and
That
white
looks awesome.
on a Rolleiflex.
I love that.
And just this is such an amazing book. It's just anytime I open it, like the inspiration is there. And so, I could look all day long at pictures on the web, and it just does not translate to the book. That's why I'm finding myself spending more and more money on books and prints and stuff the older I get. More and more money on this
For
stuff
me,
like that.
guys, when it comes to what I share, what I don't share, how I'm going about it these days is that I do hold photos back. I have countless photos I haven't shared, hundreds, maybe 1,000, that I haven't shared. And my way of going about it right now is, if it is a part of a project, if I do have it in mind as this is a photo that's meant for a project, and how should I share it? I want to share it first through print, through a zine, or print, book, etc. And once I have that shared, once it's been made into a physical print, physical body of work, right? Then after that, then I'll share it digitally. I'll share it online, because I've been influenced by my friend Yusuke, who he taught me darkroom printing, and he pushed me into getting my my work more into the physical realm, right? And always, whenever I wanted to get his opinion of a photo, I'd say, "What do you think about this photo?" And I would, if I was with him in his dark room, his office that he has. By the way, he has his own separate apartment for his dark room and office.
Nice.
Just across
Commitment.
the street from his own apartment, he rented out a whole other separate studio apartment with
Guy
a
means
shower
business.
and
That's pretty cool.
little kitchen and
That's
everything.
cool. I like
Yeah,
that.
and
I
it only
love that.
cost him like
Yeah.
like $300 dollars
It's
a
not much
month.
at the moment.
to have-
I just saw a little miniature documentary about $1 homes in Japan.
Oh yeah, well those are actually really difficult to get still. Even though they cost only $1,
Yeah.
it's tons of paperwork and
Yeah, yeah.
time, and you may not even get it in the end. But anyways, so when I'm with my friend Yusuke, right, I ask his opinion of a photo. What do you think about this photo? Is this good enough for my project? Is it good enough for this or that? Just opinion in general. Do you like it? You know? And he said, just a moment, and he'll get me to give him the photo, digitally. He'll go on his computer and he'll print it out on the inkjet. Or if it's black and white on film, it'll be like, all right, well, let's get the negative and let's print it out first. You know, let's do a darkroom print of it. Because he would hold his opinion, he'd look at it and he'd be like, and I'm waiting for his opinion. I'm like, okay. And he's like, 1 minute, let's print it. And then we go and we print it. And when we get the physical print, then he would immediately get excited about it. And to which I would say, okay, all right, I get it. Like your whole feeling has changed once you see it physically in front of you with some nice paper. You see that gradation, you see it physically, you get to touch it, right? And your feeling changes about it. And so once I started to feel the same way because of me starting to do darkroom printing and zine making and this and that prints, I started to feel the same way that a photo doesn't, and it sounds really arrogant to people who don't print a lot or don't do this. A photo doesn't become a photo until it's physical. Like some other people have said that
Yeah,
in
but
the
that's
past.
a very old school train of thought.
Right.
It
is an old school train of thought, and I feel like okay, you don't have to feel that way. You don't have to think that way. Everyone's within their own right to feel this way about their own photos digitally too as well. It's no problem with that. But I do feel that way personally for me. Like when I get that photo physically, then it becomes, this object, this physical object that changes how I feel about the photo. And then once I've had that feeling, I'll be like, okay, it's definitely worth me letting go of it also digitally because I already finished it. It's already been part of that zine or been printed, been put up on a wall at my exhibition or whatever. So that's how I
Interesting.
go about
That's quite a purist approach, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like, and that's
you-
no, I like it, and that I love that. I love that train of thought, and that's what I don't like about digital photography because we're all older, mid-30s plus.
Right.
We grew up. What did we do growing up? How did we look at photos? They all got printed.
Yeah.
Everything was printed. Everything
Right,
was
exactly.
everything was disposable cameras or little point and shoots. My whole childhood is on 6x4 prints. My entire whole even up until middle end of high school. I remember when we hit towards the end of high school, that the shitty VGA cameras were just getting into phones then.
Right.
And that whatever sub 1 megapixel photo. My whole childhood is prints and 6x4s, and that's everything. We'd go somewhere, we'd take holidays. I remember me and my brothers, especially when we first got our hands on, because we all, I still surf a lot, obviously you can tell, and when we first got our hands on disposable waterproof cameras, little like the crappy ones you can still get today.
Oh, right.
And
yeah.
the first couple
Yeah,
times
those
we
ones.
took those out and tried to take photos of each other surfing when we were 10, 11, 12 years, and I love that. And I do think that aspect has been lost a lot from photography today. And yeah, right. Some photos just don't have the impact, which is why I love the books and the printed stuff. That's why I love it. You know, I got a whole, you know, like I've, you know, same as you guys. You know, oh, I dropped it. Box of prints. There's just one box there. There's other prints there that just, you know, I print out and I just go, you know, like something. So I might get a special photo like if I open up this box of prints now. Oh, here you go. This is a motel halfway across the Australian Bight towards Euclid, towards the edge of WA. Random crappy motel in a tiny town called Cocklebiddy. You know what I mean? Like amazing to come. That's the name of the town, Cocklebiddy. Random names of crap here. You know,
The
like,
Aussies got some really interesting names down there.
oh yeah, man.
Right?
You know, like my wife, that's Jasper, and that's our rabbit Muffin, that died. He was a good rab. You know, just random things like that. This was one of the first prints I've ever made. So this was when I first got my like M7. This was Subiaco pub. The pub's gone now. Random old guy. I think like 15th of a second. You know, super slow shutter. Like I put the camera on the edge of the pool table and took a photo of this guy shooting pool. That's one of my favorite photos. Like I printed it darkroom. This is an inkjet print, but I printed that so many times when I had my enlarger, and I still, you know, like I look at it and I get that nostalgic feeling that I don't get from looking at it on a computer. I look at it on the computer and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Right.
You know, and then, you know, there's a photo of my brother surfing. You know, like I don't, yeah, you're right. I don't get that feeling with, I mean, it's cool to look at it on like Instagram's cool and all to find, you know, I enjoy it and I enjoy scrolling and looking at people's work, but it just isn't the same as a book.
It's a social app.
Yeah.
It's a social app,
It
you
is.
know?
Yeah.
It's
just fire emojis and hands up. Yeah. It's just like, that's rad. You know, that's awesome.
Right.
I really appreciate when someone takes the time out of their day to comment on a photo of mine and actually write what they like about it. Like, oh, you know, that
at least one
composition
sentence, right?
Yeah, that composition is amazing. Oh, I really love the colors in that. You know, oh my God, the gesture. I wish more people did that. I wish.
I'm pretty guilty of many fire emojis and this and that, but I try to write a sentence. Yeah, I really try. But yeah, Instagram does this thing to us where it's so much about instant gratification, right? And it's all about this quick consumption, and consumption sometimes at such a high speed. Because we're also trying to skip through these advertisements now in these videos, right?
Oh, this suggested
and then
crap.
to finally get to our friends' photos, right?
Well, sometimes I might go, you know, I'll come across like me and Hashem, you know, send DMs to each other all the time. So, you know, you're in that like close friends category, I suppose the algorithm recognizes it. But sometimes I'll see a photo of Hashem's pop up and it says like 2 or 3, 4 days ago it was posted. And it just, you know, it just doesn't, which is, it just, I don't like that sort of stuff. The way the app evolved, I don't like it, how it's too heavily based on algorithm crap. And stuff that I don't want to see, but I've got to see it if I want to get to all the other good stuff. I've got to go through the crap. But for me, it took a long time. I think a couple years ago, I got too involved in how many likes a photo would get and things like that. You know, it's just like, and I don't think it's healthy for young artists as well to like, you know, base like, oh, you know, well, I put that photo up, but it didn't get the traction I thought it would. Like, oh, it must be crap. You know, like. No, it's probably really good. You know, it's probably like, you know, got a lot of substance to it. And it's not just, you know, this little banger, this real quick thing that's, you know, that's trendy. Like, I'm sure we could all think of a type of photo off the top of our head straight. Anything with a classic car in it or something like that, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, it looks cool. But like when you know, you find someone... and you come across like a serious portrait or, you know, some like serious documentary work, it just doesn't, you know, to the general public, it doesn't hit the same. That's why I keep finding all these like little small niche YouTube channels and things like that. Like there's one called The Crit House, which I came across. And it's a bunch of older guys. And the guy who hosts it has got a master's in psychology and he's a curator of some gallery. But like, the videos have barely any views, and the people they have on there, you may never have heard of, but they're like serious working pros. Like just one of the most recent episodes, they had the guy on there that got that the Trump photo under the flag. They had that guy on there. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I mean, that's just like once in a lifetime photo.
I'm sure he's doing the rounds right now. That was a good
I
shot.
bet he's doing it. That's insane. That photo. Was it you?
Right place.
You sent me the
Wrong
link.
time. Right time.
Was it you who sent me the link for the raising of the flag at Iwo Jima? Was it you, Hash? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
you
I was
did.
like, it reminded me of that.
Reminded you of that, and then as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh my god, that's so true." That photo is going to become possibly as iconic as the raising of the flag in Iwo Jima. You know what I mean? You know,
right. Yeah.
I mean, potentially. I mean, we're not. I mean, we won't get political on Trump or anything like that here, but just the photo itself, amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But
Did you see the video of him taking the photos?
no, I haven't
Yeah,
seen
the GoPro
I haven't
footage.
seen the
He had a
video,
GoPro
no.
on his chest,
No.
and you can see him taking the photos using like a Sony A something or whatever.
Yep.
And yeah, he took hundreds of photos.
I bet. Yeah, just
at-
spray and pray. I mean, in a moment like that,
you know, just crazy amount of
But
photos.
can you imagine?
that was
Let's
the
go
winner.
back to where was it? JFK. We can go John F. Kennedy. JFK. When JFK was shot in that parade. Like, think about trying to capture that moment then.
Right.
With did they even have? That was the '60s, wasn't it? Was there motor? There probably wasn't even motor drives invented yet. Maybe there was. I'm not sure, but you know what I mean. Like the ability to capture that kind of stuff now with technology. Like as much as I don't like, I don't need, like, I'm a single point autofocus type of guy. I can get the job done with single point manual focus, single point autofocus. You know what I mean? But like how far we've come to be able to get images like that and take 100 or 500 images in that split second and get that exact decisive moment is pretty cool. And then end up on the cover of Time magazine or something like that. God, I wish we still had magazines like that. I mean, like, that's why I subscribe to the Surfers Journal. So every 2 months I get a copy of the Surfers Journal. Proper magazine, a lot of arts, a lot of project surf related stuff, but like having that physical thing, a huge stack of them inside. It's probably like equivalent to like the National Geographic for surfing, to be honest. That's what it would be equivalent to. Surfing's National Geographic. And I miss it.
I do enjoy in Japan, whenever I go into a convenience store here, they have the magazine section. They have newspapers right at the entrance there. And being able to see all the photography in magazines here in Japan, because the magazine industry is still very alive and pretty
dying
good.
hard everywhere else. I mean, that's really,
Yeah.
it's nice to know that that sort of industry is still going strong. In some places in the world.
Yeah. I think in Japan, the value to paper is still really strong here, even though everything's gone very digital in the past few years, especially because of COVID. But the value of paper and printing here is still very, very high. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
especially to the older generation. So
I mean, I'm a massive, manga fan. I read manga every single night on my iPad, every night. But and I know that's, printed manga is still, you know what I mean? Like, that's massive still in Japan. People actually having the physical copies, each volume that comes out. If I had the space, or I could, for me personally, I probably would buy it if I could get it. But there's almost like no places to get it here. You know what I mean? Like, I can go into a small type of shop. There's a couple little niche places here, but they've only got like the main stuff, not the obscure random things that I managed to find on the internet and the crazy series that I'll read. But yeah, that's nice to know that Japan still has a big demand for it. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if the demand for that, because the parallel between the Japanese and photography, you know what I mean, like the manufacturers and everything, like if that gives me hope that, like, if that, you know what I mean, that's still valued so much in Japan, then like printed photographic work and stuff is still valued heavily, at least some places. I feel like we're losing it a bit here, just with Instagram these days and instant instant everything. So it's always nice. Like,
Right.
I mean, yeah. And you sound like, Alex, you've got like just a backlog of projects, of photos, of things to be printed and made. Whereas I wish I could say that. Like I've got thousands and thousands of photos that will never see the light of day, but it's just, you know, either snapshot stuff, kid stuff, just random things, you know, that probably wouldn't share and wouldn't even make it into a zine even. But, yeah, and then you look back on that. But again, it's mostly digital. It's looking back through that on the computer and stuff. I don't actually have the prints of everything, unfortunately. Didn't get the 6x4s made up of everything. And I don't even know if I'd have the space these days, the amount of photos I'd take to have 6x4s of everything. You know what I mean? Off every roll of film. That would be nice.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But how much does it cost these days? I even forget how much extra it costs. It's not that much more expensive, is it, to get your... But do most labs don't do it these days, do they?
Most don't. It's still pretty cheap. You do it separately.
Yeah.
You go to like Harvey Norman or whatever.
Yeah,
I still have a few Harvey Normans that use a wet lab Fujifilm printer whenever I want to do 6x4s for proofing or whatever. Like I have on my magnet board back there.
Yeah.
Just little quick prints.
Yeah.
Kmart, whatever.
Are you gonna do that for you? Will you do that for your project? Like I've done for this one. You know, print every single photo out individually and sequence it out with physical prints. Lay it all out on a table or something. Is that the way you do it as well, Alex? You don't just like use BookWrite, like let's say Blurb's BookWrite software on the computer to sequence. You actually print it and try and lay everything out to bed and see it physically to get a sense of how it would look in print. Yeah, in a cohesive book. Yeah. I'm glad that's the way. Yeah,
I prefer to do it that way.
I feel like that's the only way to do it. I don't think I could. I think it would make much more sense to do it that way personally.
I like using both.
Yeah.
I definitely have to have the prints, but then I do like using like Adobe or whatever to also see how it looks like on screen.
Yeah. I find it really difficult. It's really hard these days without printing, you know, paper choice and everything, you know, what it looks like on the computer screen to how it translates to the print. You know what I mean? Which is why, I mean, I love black and white so much because it's just, you know, it is what it is. It's black and white, it's grayscale. It's really easy, you know what I mean? Whereas I find skin tones can get skewered. I mean, yeah, you can get your monitor calibrated and stuff, but like the paper type matters. You know, is it textured paper that's going to make a difference on how the final picture looks? Which is probably why.
Yeah, you need to use ICC and proofing to get as close as possible.
Oh, that was a rabbit hole a couple of years ago with printing, inkjet printing, getting all that sort of stuff done. But yeah, where are we at now, guys? Where are we at? We've been going for a while.
Yeah, I think it's at least an hour. Yeah.
Should we maybe call this episode as our first one? I think we ended on a note there while we've almost semi run out of things to talk about.
I'll just check my battery real quick.
Yeah, actually.
Make sure it's not going to die in a moment.
Yeah, I'm fine either way.
It's still all right.
Yep.
Yeah, was there anything you wanted to wrap on, Cooper? Or
nothing specifically. I think we've covered a lot of ground on obviously, you know, this episode will be, you know, printing photo projects and printing your work, probably the title of this for everyone at home who's made it to the end. Thank you very much. So yeah, like I said, this will be ongoing to all you people at home. It's not a one-off. The three of us will be getting together again to talk about more photo-related topics and everything. I mean, we had a bunch of topics to start with today, but this is pretty much, we've just managed to go through one, haven't we? Just talking about personal projects and printing. So there's lots of other stuff coming up. I did just see maybe for the next episode, I don't know about you guys, but you know how we were talking about the new Pentax 17 and the Rolly 35? I just saw the price for it. It's about
they had a price for...
1,600 Australian dollars.
Isn't it 1,200?
Nah, man. Camera Electronic, my local store, which I buy everything, is 1,500, 1,600. That's what it's listed as. And I've just gone, oh my God, I don't know if that's...
They might have free reign to set their own pricing, though. I saw somewhere.
You reckon?
Excuse me, like 13. Yeah, it's like $800 US. So I think they can translate that however they wish, and then Australia tax and whatever.
I hope so.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, I figured it would be.
Sense. And I think I still will buy one because I really want to support Mint Camera. I mean, and that's a whole nother episode. I feel like we're going to get into that once the Rolly comes out. We're going to get heavily into that. And that'll be an episode in itself. That and talking about Rolly, Mint Camera, Rolly, Pentax, and all that. Maybe by the time we get together for the next one, it may have even landed, and that could be the next video we talk about.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, links to the boys' YouTubes and Instagram and everything else will be down below for you to go and subscribe to them. Thanks everyone for tuning in if you made it this far, and the three of us will see you on the next episode, which I'm sure we'll have a name for it by then. By then we'll have a title, we'll have a working title, and we'll have a regular series and a name for everything. Yeah.
And hopefully on the next episode, I get some more prints of my prints on the wall here. Because I'm in a new office now.
I stole those off my dad. That's how cool my dad is. But my old man's so trendy. He had all this stuff printed out. But and then I have my pride and joy, my 50s metal Ilford sign, which my wife found randomly for me. Anyway,
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, and it's so old that you can see it's the red when Ilford was red. I don't even know what year it was. That was still, that advertising was all red and yellow. Anyway, thanks for everyone for tuning in. We're going to cut that here. I'm going to cut the recording, and we'll see you all hopefully in the next episode. Thank you.